A player who has made an immediate slam dunk impact.
I think that, Clyde, if that's how he felt, that's how he felt.
It's somewhat of a mirror of me in a sense. He's so versatile.
Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, Sam Bowie.
Was Clyde Drexler really the worst? Some of the NBA's biggest names certainly had issues with him. Michael Jordan took personal offense to even being compared to Drexler. Magic Johnson was allegedly hurt by comments Drexler made about his HIV diagnosis. The Portland Trail Blazers won't even speak to him. But here's the truth. This wasn't hate. This was respect disguised as rivalry. Clyde the Glide Drexler was targeted because he was so good that the greatest players in history made it their personal mission to prove they were better. His story isn't about being hated. It's about being a constant, formidable challenger in an era of gods. Let's start with the biggest rivalry of his career, Michael Jordan. By the 1992 season, the narrative was inevitable. Jordan was the reigning champion and the best player on the planet. But Drexler was mounting a serious challenge. He had led the Portland Trail Blazers to the NBA Finals 2 years earlier and was having a career year. He earned first-team All-NBA honors alongside Jordan and finished second to him in MVP voting. The media saw two players with similar size, explosive athleticism, and the same position. They framed the upcoming finals as a battle between equals, a showdown to determine the true king of shooting guards. For Drexler, this validation made sense. He believed he belonged in the conversation with any player in the league. He feared no one and genuinely felt he could beat Jordan, viewing him as a peer. But Jordan saw it completely differently. For a player driven by an obsessive need to be singular, the comparison wasn't a compliment. It was an insult. Jordan made his feelings clear. He said Clyde was a threat, but being compared to him was something he took offense to. This fundamental difference in perception transformed a media storyline into a personal crusade. Jordan wasn't just playing to win another championship, he was playing to destroy a narrative he found personally offensive. Jordan's response was swift and devastating. Before Game 1, when a reporter noted that Drexler was the better three-point shooter, Jordan cryptically replied that he had not chosen to shoot threes. This was a warning shot. In the first half of that game, Jordan erupted for 35 points, including a record-setting 6 three-pointers. After the sixth one dropped, he turned to the broadcast table and shrugged. That shrug became the defining image of the series. It wasn't aimed at Drexler personally, but at the entire notion that there was any comparison to be made. Jordan later explained that he generally avoided relying on the three-point shot because it took away from his core game of penetration and creation. This made his Game 1 barrage even more powerful. He could dominate his rival even in the one area where his rival was supposedly superior? Who do you think is the most underrated player of the 90s? Drexler's battles with Jordan showed just how elite the competition was back then. Drop your answer in the comments below. And if you're enjoying this deep dive into basketball history, make sure to subscribe for more content like this. The rest of the finals followed the established hierarchy. Jordan led the Bulls to a 4-2 series victory for their second consecutive title. The numbers told an unambiguous story. Jordan averaged nearly 36 points per game while shooting over 52% from the field. Drexler averaged almost 25 points, but shot just under 41%. Jordan outscored him by 11 points per game while shooting 12 percentage points higher. The performance provided empirical proof for the narrative Jordan had crafted, but the war didn't end there. As teammates on the 1992 Dream Team at the Barcelona Olympics, any notion of a truce was quickly dispelled. Jordan used the practices as a psychological laboratory to reinforce the New World Order. He treated Drexler not as a teammate but as a vanquished foe who needed constant reminding of his place. Jordan's trash talk was relentless and highly specific. During scrimmages, he would hound Drexler up the court with taunts. "Didn't I just kick your ass? Anything here look just a little familiar? Think you can stop me this time, Clyde? Better watch out for the threes." The psychological warfare was so intense that other Dream Team members eventually intervened. They suggested Jordan cut back on the trash talk because they were all teammates now. Despite all the on-court intensity and psychological gamesmanship, the foundation for a different kind of relationship was laid that summer in Barcelona. The shared experience, with wives and families present, helped humanize the competition and soften the hard edges of their rivalry. In the years after their careers ended, the animosity evolved into a genuine friendship built on mutual respect. Jordan himself acknowledged this transformation, crediting the Dream Team for their eventual bond. He said he spends more time with Clyde Drexler now, playing golf and texting each other. He called it a product of what the Dream Team did. This ability to transition from fierce rivals to friends who share hobbies suggests that much of their on-court conflict was performative, a necessity of elite competition rather than deep-seated personal hatred. Once the professional stakes were removed, the manufactured animosity could dissipate. The so-called hate was actually the highest form of competitive respect. Now let's talk about the controversy with Magic Johnson. This conflict was different. It was deeply personal and played out in the pages of a book. In 2012, excerpts from Jackie McMullen's book Dream Team attributed shocking quotes to Drexler about Magic's inclusion on the 1992 Olympic team. The quotes were incendiary. According to the book, Drexler said Magic couldn't play much by that time and couldn't guard his shadow. The most damaging quote directly linked Magic's health status to his accolades. If we all knew Magic was going to live this long, I would have gotten the MVP of that game, and Magic probably wouldn't have made the Olympic team. These statements suggested that Magic's place on the team and his All-Star MVP award were products of pity, not merit. Drexler issued a swift and forceful denial. He described the quotes as totally ludicrous and baseless, stating he had no idea where they came from. Through a formal statement, he emphasized his long friendship with Magic that went back more than 28 years. He said he would never say such hurtful things, and that he had reached out to Magic directly to apologize for even having to respond to the controversy. Magic's response was measured but revealed a deep layer of hurt. He said if that's how Clyde felt, then that's how he felt. Crucially, he framed the sentiment as being in character for Drexler, describing him as a guy who always fought for more publicity and probably thought he deserved more credit. But here's the key nuance that provides context. The author stood by her reporting, but introduced a critical layer that was largely lost in the initial uproar. She clarified that Drexler wasn't solely expressing his own opinion. He was channeling a broader sentiment that existed throughout the league at the time. This clarification created a crucial gray area, positioning Drexler less as a malicious friend and more as someone who made the mistake of saying the quiet part out loud. Regardless of the truth, the relationship was fractured. In later years, particularly during the Last Dance documentary era, Drexler adopted a far more guarded public posture. The 2012 controversy taught him a harsh lesson about speaking candidly. Let's shift to a different kind of rivalry, the Houston Rockets versus the Utah Jazz. This was a team-based strategic war for Western Conference supremacy. During Drexler's tenure with the Rockets in the mid-1990s, their playoff matchups against the Jazz became the era's most consequential Western rivalry. It was a clash of styles, pitting the star-driven improvisational brilliance of Hakeem Olajuwon and Drexler against the systematic pick-and-roll perfection of Karl Malone and John Stockton. The stakes were immense. In the 4 times the teams met in the playoffs during the 1990s, the winner advanced to the NBA Finals on every single occasion. The 1995 first-round series stands as the defining moment of the rivalry. The Rockets entered the playoffs as defending champions, but were a struggling 6th seed with only 47 wins. The Jazz were a powerhouse, winning a franchise record 60 games. After the Jazz won Game 3 in Houston to take a commanding 2-1 series lead, the Rockets faced elimination. In Game 4, the two superstars delivered a historic performance. Drexler poured in 41 points and Olajuwon added 40, leading Houston to a dominant victory to force a decisive Game 5. In that final game, the Rockets overcame a 7-point deficit in the final 5 minutes to stun the Jazz on their home court, completing one of the great upsets in playoff history. This victory validated the Drexler trade and ignited the Rockets' improbable run to a second consecutive title. 2 years later, the teams met again in the Western Conference Finals. The rivalry's most iconic moment came at the end of Game 6 in Houston. With the score tied and seconds ticking away, John Stockton calmly drained a three-pointer as the buzzer sounded. The shot sent the Jazz to the NBA Finals and represented the ultimate playoff heartbreak for the Rockets. The final chapter came in the first round of the 1998 playoffs. Utah prevailed 3-2, eliminating Houston in the decisive 5th game. That game carried poignant historical significance. It was the final NBA game of Clyde Drexler's career. The team he had to conquer to reach the championship mountaintop in 1995 was the same team standing at the gate when his Hall of Fame journey ended. But Drexler's most bitter and ongoing conflict wasn't with another player. It was with the Portland Trail Blazers organization. His relationship with the franchise he defined for over a decade is a story of love and estrangement. The foundation began to crack in the mid-1990s. A pivotal moment was the 1994 firing of head coach Rick Adelman, a move that reportedly angered Drexler. Concurrent with this were disputes over his contract. As a perennial all-star who had led the team to 2 NBA Finals, Drexler felt significantly underpaid. When the organization resisted his efforts to renegotiate, he threatened to seek a trade. Drexler's long-term animosity has focused on one central figure, Bert Kolde, the franchise's vice chair. Drexler stated that until the franchise is sold and they get rid of Bert Kolde, they will struggle. He believes Kolde was key in the decision to fire Adelman and has since had free rein to run the franchise from behind the scenes, accomplishing very little. The broken relationship has been most visible in Drexler's conspicuous absence from franchise events. A recent celebration honoring the 1990 and 1992 finals teams was held without its biggest star in attendance. Drexler claims the organization dropped the ball and failed to properly inform him of the event's date. His former teammate Terry Porter, who now works as a team ambassador, has confirmed the source of the issue. He stated that everybody has tried to get Drexler to come, but he has feelings about people in the organization. Despite his frustration with management, Drexler still speaks of the team with a sense of ownership, often referring to the Trailblazers as we. This reveals a complex emotional dynamic, a deep connection to the team, the fans, and his former teammates, coexisting with a profound rift with the front office. His anger isn't apathy, it's tough love for the franchise he built. The career of Clyde Drexler, viewed through the lens of his rivalries, reveals a compelling figure. With Michael Jordan, he faced a rival that forced Jordan to invent new levels to his game, a conflict that eventually became friendship, born of shared greatness. With Magic Johnson, he endured a reputational crisis rooted in misunderstanding rather than malice. The wars against the Utah Jazz represented the pinnacle of team rivalry, and with the Trailblazers, he experienced internal conflict with management that has festered for decades. These conflicts reveal a competitor of immense self-belief who was perpetually forced to prove his worth against legends. Clyde Drexler wasn't hated. He was a constant, formidable challenger whose complex legacy was forged in the crucible of rivalry. If you agree that Drexler deserves more credit for navigating one of the most competitive eras in basketball history, hey, hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into NBA legends. Thanks for watching.